We're here together on June 20th. This is the third of the open Zoom calls on the Consciousness Deep Dive. We had two groups that were going in parallel. And it's time to hear a little bit of what people are taking with them and would like to share with the rest of the deep dive participants and perhaps the wider world.
I'll start. I met Ben Jitendra back in 2011, and we were working together for several months. And then, except for some email connections and stuff, we haven't been in each other's company, I guess, for a while. And it was really confirming for me to be here again with them and to spontaneously or synchronistically end up in the same group with them, confirming that, you know, where our hearts were and still are in terms of what we would like to see happening and like to help create on the planet. And this, I can't really find a word, something like, you know, very warm and cozy to have that connection. We talked a lot about, being in shock and dealing with that or the insanity in the world by sobbing, being in touch with our grief, and just really felt very connected to them throughout the conversation. I'm complete with that.
Well, I'll go next. I'll let Suzanne know that I met her at that same time along with Ben and Jitendra back in the Occupy days.
I did remember.
Yeah, and I think I met Frankie before then back in the Co-Intelligence Institute days. And I kind of want to follow on that the first two calls I had in this deep dive felt warm and comforting. Today's the complete opposite. Today, I feel like the image that came to mind is that I feel like I'm a prayer wheel on a Tibetan temple. And that, you know, I've just been spun and spun and spun in the last 24 hours, really. I want to acknowledge that I've learned something. I'm learning something from Stephanie about the difference between shock and trauma. Being introduced to her work back in November, I have a whole different sense of when I'm in the physiology of shock and when I'm in the physiology of trauma, because now I know the difference between the two. So I want to share that, and I want to share that. Yesterday, and kind of at the end of a meditation and frustration about how to show up in the external world, Ben, and this, you know, with this kind of consciousness, I got the Fool card from the tarot cards that Angeles Arians put together, and the synchronicity around that is once upon a time in an art of hosting circle, somebody said to me afterwards, "Oh God, you should have been a stand-up comic, Heather. You're totally hilarious when you're in the middle of the circle with the microphone." So to get the Fool card yesterday was like a slap in the face in a way. So just thank you all so much. So far, these 10 days in this consciousness deep dive, has been one of the most remarkable experiences I've had. Just wow. So thank you, Ben, and everybody.
There, hi.
No.
I tell you, I'm ready to up my technology. That's one thing I know. It's like, try running Zoom calls on an iPhone with older eyes. Well, my takeaway is, I think, really one of affirmation. You know, it's so lovely to be gathered with people that you can have a full conversation with. You know, one that has a complementary language, you know, to one another's, where we can truly feel heard. That's the best of it. And then it was shared in our group, the sort of 1-2 of conversation meets action. And I'd like to just offer up that I have been guided over 30 years to come up with a kind of social architecture and blueprints for co-creativity, and however that can benefit our bringing our gifts together, I would love to explore with people. And so I put that out as an offering from the Circles Uniting World and Art of Living orientation that I've been playing with thousands of people on 4 continents so far. And I just love that the spontaneity of today connected me with people from years back, like Heather, and new people like you, Ben, and that I just have a really strong feeling that there's some real earthy, you know, possibilities in all of us meeting and taking it to what's now and what's next. To you.
Well, I can share. I've been trying to synthesize. I'm always giving myself the task of synthesizing and finding a way to be concise with these expansive experiences that are part of my daily, if not hourly life. And I feel very grateful for the opportunity to explore the very concept of indigeneity with such wise people and incredibly heartful, passionate women devoted to their own areas of inquiry, which blended beautifully while we were together. So this is my attempt at synthesizing our wonderful sharing. The way that humanity rises in the face of climate crisis is through the evolution of a new indigeneity that is without tribal affiliation or ethnicity, but at the same time incorporates those and is connected to a global unity and a sense of place through a passionate, indestructible, and unbreakable bond with Gaia.
Beautiful, Stephanie. Can you share that? I would like to quote that in my, if with your permission, in some of the things I want to circulate.
Absolutely, of course. Of course. I'll send it to everybody, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's the perfect sort of thing to put in as a jewel in the text-based harvest from these conversations.
Thank you.
I'll email out the links to that to everybody.
Yeah, maybe I'll just follow the wake of Stephanie. Just to follow up on that, right now I'm actually developing a curriculum, which I call it's related with the poetic mind, is exactly to activate this kind of universal indigeneity. I'm sure when that happens, Stephanie, I'll let you know. I don't have much to say. I think, Stephanie, what you said really is the words I want to put what I'm you put words to the exact feeling I have. Stephanie, you mentioned the event at the CCC, the climate change, the intense kind of tension between the indigenous and conference organizer. After I experienced and witnessed that event, a song came through. So I wonder if I could share that song with you. Would that be, Ben? Thank you. The words of sorrow flows into my heart. Yesterday's pain cutting to my skin. I ask for healing from the river of time. River brings me pearls of tears. I have hurt you. You have hurt me. I have deserted you. You have betrayed me. I ask for healing and forgiveness in the silence of time. Is our eternal embrace.
Oh, beautiful. We could end there. Thank you, everyone.